Hello, I'm Michael Mann for BikeSocial and welcome to a rather wet Rockingham. Today we're here testing 5 125cc sports bikes. Restricted to just 15 horsepower, actually that makes them learner legal and almost the ultimate bike for the 17-year-old on the street. We've got Honda's CBR125 priced at £3,799, Yamaha's YZF-R125 at £4,399, Aprilia RS4 125 £4,071, the most expensive of the bunch is the KTM RC125 at £4,549, and then the wild card, the Rieju RS3 at just £3,499. And in the test team today, we have a young man who rides 125 bikes on the road and Britain's fastest teenager. So we've enjoyed a typically great British summer day here at Rockingham, and we've had the chance of riding all 5 bikes in the wet, in real world conditions as it were, here at Rockingham today. Boys, let's start with the Honda.
When I first turned up, looking at the Honda, it didn't have the sharp lines of the other bikes in the test. It looked more like any other Honda that you'll see. It hasn't got the sharp modern appeal to them, but it still looks really fancy and it still looks really quite presentable.
You feel the same?
No, I think it's just a bit staid and a bit boring. I think they could have done so much more with the styling compared to the Yamaha and the KTM. They all look like sports bikes. They all look like bigger bikes, and it just doesn't do it for me.
Yeah, the Yamaha was a good bike again. It was kind of more sportier than the Honda. It was a good bike. It was, again, as I said, more on the sportier side. So I felt it was quite a good bike, but maybe a little bit unstable going into the corners in these tricky conditions today.
Did you think that's to do with the tyres or the suspension?
I think it was maybe just a mix of everything, including conditions. Obviously the tyres will play a little bit of a part in the suspension as well.
Did you feel the same thing?
I think everything just worked really, really nicely on the Yamaha. Everything from the gear change was really, really slick. The brakes were the most confidence-inspiring of all the bikes out there. It's edgier, it's more modern, and it just looks sleeker. But it was just missing something for me. It was really, really nice to ride, but then you got on some of the other bikes and it left me feeling a little bit hollow, so to speak.
I definitely agree with you on the brakes. They're the sharpest at the front, for sure. And also the build quality. It just feels like it's a bit more refined, perhaps.
I think in 5 years' time, after 4 or 5 winters, it would be the one that probably held it the best.
Yeah. And onto the Aprilia. How did you find that?
I found the Aprilia was good. It was again, I think even more sportier than the Yamaha. I quite enjoyed riding it, and when we were doing our little drag races earlier, it was a good bike. It felt like it had quite a lot of bottom end power to mid range, which for a young 17-year-old who's maybe coming from a city and going out, it's probably better because you're not always revving it right the way up.
I think that it's probably the best looking bike. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Same with you, Tony?
Definitely, 100%. If you saw that thing coming down the road towards you, you would have to do a double take to not realise that it was, the bigger brother, so to speak.
Yeah, sure.
I did like the torque, the way the power came in. I thought that was really, really nice. But it just didn't feel as stable on the back end. The back end just felt a little bit unstable to me when we were going around the track.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I think, again, the limiting factor there is the tyres, perhaps. And on to the most expensive, which was the KTM.
I really enjoyed riding KTM. It was, for me, the most confidence-inspiring bike. And as a young 17-year-old, well, I'm 14, but I think if I was a 17-year-old, it would be the bike I'd go for with looks as well.
Yeah. Feel the same?
Definitely. If I was going to put my hand in my pocket and shell out the money to go and buy one of the bikes that we'd ridden today, it would be the KTM.
Yeah, and if we had a stopwatch on the bikes today, I'm sure the KTM would have been the quickest around the track, right?
Yeah, we were kind of going out on track a little bit ourselves and just within each of the bikes. KTM, I think we all agreed on was the best bike for on the track.
Yeah. And then the budget version, the Rieju.
That was quite a good surprise for me actually. It was a good bike. It was the quickest bike on the test, which I think we were all quite surprised with. So I really enjoyed riding the Rieju.
I agree. I think it was probably the surprise package for sure.
Yeah.
I felt like it was quite narrow, quite sporty, especially with the way the bars fell away. But what did you think, Tate?
I think the first time I rode it, I was really nonplussed. The gear change felt really quite slushy. You didn't get a definite click of it going into gear, and that put me off. And then I rode it again a bit later on in the session, and it was like a different bike. I don't know whether it was me riding it differently, but it definitely felt better. And yeah, I would say for the money, it's great value, absolutely amazing value.
And also, I think you got to mention it's got a Yamaha engine as well.
Yeah.
So it may be on one of the cheaper bikes, but it's definitely got the build quality there.
Yeah. The engine's nice and strong. I certainly felt that on track. I enjoyed riding the Rieju. For me, it was definitely the best surprise. Yet, I would suggest, based on those comments, that the KTM is going to be the winner, right?
Yeah, I think for the KTM was the best bike for me on the test there. It was the most confidence-inspiring bike, and no, it was really good. But also the Rieju, for the price it is, if you had a limited budget, I think the Rieju would be the best bike.
Nice one, thanks boys. You can read the full review at BikeSocial.co.uk.